Wanna Be by Tate McRae here on Red Banner 7.8. And yes, as you know, this is a very special edition of the show with me, AJ, because we had read chats and chapters up today with our guest Shannel in the studio as well. So, how is it going?
It's going great.
Yes, and as you guys heard, Chanel kind of introduced herself before, told us a little bit about what she's interested in. Historical fiction, was it not?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and she said that she's used to writing a lot because she had to do it for school. She was writing from the age of 5, and then it became a progressive thing, and now she has written books. Tell us a little bit about them.
So I've written two books. The first one was when I was around 13,
Okay.
and this was during COVID, and this was before I kind of knew all the sites to go and sort of download books on for free.
Okay.
So I really loved historical fiction. I loved Georgette Hale, loved Barbara Cartland, loved Jane Austen, and I wanted more books like that in that genre, and they were a little bit hard to find. So then I just started imagining scenarios in my head, and I thought, you know what, let's just write them down so I don't forget. I never really intended for it to become a book.
Okay.
And then we met Jeremy and then my publisher, and he was like, you know what, let's put this out there. I was really reluctant. And then he was just like, no, yeah, give it a shot. So I think that's how the first book started. And then the second one, I published it on my birthday in Feb. And I really loved historical fiction, but this time I wanted to write on the war. That was the Great War, so World War II.
Okay.
And because of its relevance in today with all the wars going on in the world, the war we had a few years back in Sri Lanka and stuff. And I really liked the genre itself, and I wanted to write a book where the focus was on the people back home more than the soldiers.
Okay.
And I think that's how the second book came out.
Okay, so that was published this year.
Yep.
Alright.
In Feb.
Okay, so just for a bit of context for our listeners, what exactly does historical fiction entail, in your words?
Historical fiction is basically anything on history. It can be really, really old history, it can be recent history. For me, it was, again, anything that I thought happened in the past which had a marked impact on people.
Okay.
And would they just be... What I really liked about historical fiction was you could really draw parallels between the past and the present. And that sort of irony really made me go, wow, okay, that's so cool. And I think with that, I was just really interested in that. Yeah.
Okay, so your book is A Country Recluse, right?
Yep.
Yes, so what exactly is that about?
So the first book, The Country Recluse and Other Stories, so that's 3 short stories.
Okay.
And it's about this lady in Regency, England, and how she navigates society. And because the society at the time was a lot different to ours, they were way more judgmental, they had so many more implicit rules and regulations. And I just wanted to show what life was like then, with a sort of modern twist on it, where I'd keep the writing style, I'd keep the context, I'd keep the genre, but I wanted to add in a little bit more of a feminist modern outlook on it.
Okay.
And how they would interpret the way life worked out.
Okay, so are all 3 stories like about 3 different girls, or?
Yep, so 3 different ladies, 3 different girls, but they're all connected with like friendship, and they meet each other in the same places. Yeah, so basically things like that.
That's very cool, And that was when you were 13?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And what is Dear Leo about? You said it's kind of about people back home. So is that also a novel or short stories, or?
So Dear Leo is I think it's a short story. It's a lot longer than my first few, so maybe a novella. That's about this young girl whose best friend goes to war, and she never figures out what happened to him, whether he's dead or he's alive. And it's basically how she and the rest of people back home in their little village, including the children, how they cope with loss from their relatives going out to war, the bombings, the blackouts, all of that, the blitz, how they cope with it. Because I really wanted to highlight how children cope with war, because they're way too young to understand the full implications of it. And like the kids in my book, they're like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and I wanted to highlight the innocence and how unfair it was that they had to go through this as well.
Okay, you put a lot of research into that as well?
Yeah, I think I researched more into the second book actually.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, you can't really write historical fiction without a lot of research into history, because then you're kind of doing an unjust, view on it, right? So, that takes a lot of, it takes extra work. Writing is anyway work, but it takes extra work as well. But yes, that is something about her book. Sounds very, very interesting. So I'm pretty sure all of you tuned in as well find it interesting as well. But yes, a little bit more on that as well. Until then, here is more music. Shannel and I were just talking about, life and its hecticness and uni and things like that. And, it is very, very stressful. I mean, when you get to the age that we're at, we're around similar in age. So, we're in that odd period right before, we're finishing up school, starting uni. There's a lot of things to kind of think about. So that isn't a fun time to be alive, is it?
Not really, no.
Yes, so I mean, in that case, I feel like writing is a really good way to just, I don't know, have an outlet of, just being able to put your emotions down onto a paper. Is it the same for you?
I mean, I figure that whenever I get bored or I get really sick of, sitting in one place and studying for a long period of time, I just start writing random stuff.
Okay.
So that way it's a really good outlet, because there's nobody saying, you know what, you need to write in this exam style, in this exam format. But saying that, I'm so relieved that we had the option in school to pick the subjects that I chose, because I chose literature, and I love literature.
Okay.
And school's been really sweet about it. They're like, I know you like this sort of stuff, so you wanna continue there, just go ahead. So
yeah, so that's really nice. But the disadvantages to choosing literature is the fact that you have like a required way of writing.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah,
that's definitely there.
Because I did lit for my A-levels as well. So it is fun, but it doesn't get fun when you are told to kind of like constrict.
Yeah, that's there, because they have this very particular marking scheme they want, and then you have to write in this particular format. And in a way, it's fun because you get to diss the characters academically, but it's still quite annoying when you have to like play the middleman and say, you know what, this character is nice, but they have these bad sides, and you really just want to be like, no, we hate them.
100%. I had few characters as well, and it's even more annoying when you get the question. They give you like a statement, like, he is a good character, and then you're supposed to find like,
is he?
Yeah, you're supposed to find like a few good things to say to balance your argument. Those I completely hated.
I don't like that.
But yes, you're still in that process, so maybe let's not turn you off it a little bit too much right now. But yes, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the characters in your own books, and like how did you kind of resonate with them, because I know to write a character you have to actually think like them, right? Or something along those lines. How did you find that?
I think for me, the reason that I didn't want to publish my book first was that if you knew me, you could tell I wrote the book.
Okay.
Because you could see a huge reflection of me in those characters, and that way I didn't have to think too much on how they would react. It's more like, okay, they went through these circumstances, how would you yourself react in these circumstances? And then I went off that. I think in my second book, Dear Leo, the female character that I wrote, Nella, she's a lot like me in certain ways, and the way she processes the grief of losing her best friend and then coming to terms with that grief was what was more difficult for her, because she felt guilty, like, I'm still supposed to be mourning him. And what I liked about the character that I chose was that she's a teacher, so I really got to center the rest of like the book on the kids, how she dealt with the kids, the way the kids felt with grief, how they coped with it. One of my characters, actually, she came back from Manchester, and that was where the bombing got really bad. And the way she coped with the grief of losing her parents was a lot different to how everybody else was coping, because they didn't go through that level of loss. And being able to really delve into those characters was really fun in a way, because I've always enjoyed the sociology aspect of it, how people react to different things. And I really like to thank my publisher, because he put up with so much, because I'd be calling him in the middle of the night and saying, Uncle, I want to add a little letter here, I want to add a newspaper clipping, I want to add the pictures of what the bombing actually looked like, I found this really cool real life conscription letter, can you edit it a bit and then add like the name of my character there? So I had a lot more fun with my second book. I was able to really have that freedom, that space to edit it and write it the way I wanted,
Okay.
and that was really fun.
Yeah. All right. So yes, as you just heard, clearly Shannel, this is something she really likes to do, something she enjoys, and she'll have a few things to share with everyone tuned in as well. In our last and final segment, that'll be coming up very very soon. About things that she has had to endure, challenges, her future plans, and any advice she has for all of you as well. But yes, make sure to stay tuned until then. But yes, here is the Jonas Brothers throwing it a little bit back with When You Look Me in the Eyes. On here on Red 107.8 by Walker Hayes as well. But yes, it is me, AJ, keeping you company. I've actually been keeping you company with my guest of this week, Shannel, as well. And this is our last segment with her because we have been here for a while, haven't we?
For half hour now.
Yeah, so there's been a lot to talk about as well because Shannel is interested in her books are kind of new, in the sense they're old but new in a way, they're kind of based around historical fiction and things like that. So there's a lot to unpack there, a lot to talk about as well. But yes, Shannel, you told us how you kind of got into this as well. But what are your future plans? Like, do you have new stuff in the works? Is this an angle you want to continue even after you finish your A-levels with uni and things like that?
I really love lit, and I think I want to continue it when I go for uni as well. And I really want to keep the creative writing aspect of it. And when it comes to books, I really don't know when I start writing. It just kind of happens.
Okay.
But I'm trying out a sequel for Dear Leo.
Okay.
It's the first time I'm trying a sequel, but I really love the characters and I want to continue their stories without leaving it at the cliffhanger thing I did in the first book.
Okay.
So yeah.
So yes, and okay, you're still in school, you have exams and things like that. So what is one of the biggest challenges you faced?
When it comes to writing, the publishing process was really fun for me. But when it comes to challenges, I think facing criticism, I mean, that's something that everybody goes through.
Yes.
But especially when you're a young writer, so many people will be telling you, you did great, that's amazing, and you'd have so many positive comments that even the one tiny comment that's bad, it really hurts. And I think that's something a lot of young writers are scared of. Like, if I publish this book now, when I grow up and I look at it, I'm gonna be like, oh God, why did I write that?
Yeah, that's true.
That's gotta be there. I mean, because even my first book, I was 13, I'm 17 now, and I look at him like, that is not my mindset right now. But I think it's fine, because it's a part of your journey, it's a part of your self-reflection, and people will always have an opinion about what you write, and that's also completely fine. You just need to keep in mind that there's always gonna be an audience for you. Because when I first started writing, so many people would come and tell me, why are you writing historical fiction? Nobody really reads it anymore. But then I was able to do so much with the 2 books that I published. The first one was nominated for the State Literary Awards. And because so many things happened with that book, it really made me realize that there's always an audience for you. No matter how niche it is, it's still there. And that should never discourage young writers from going out there and publishing their work. And I think another fear they have is, am I good enough? Is my writing too babyish? Is it too simple? But that's what editors are there for. That's what your publishing house is there for. They're there to tell you, you know what, let's put this passage right to the front of your story so it can make like a dam. And editing your grammar, things like that. It's really, and especially in Sri Lanka, because the literary world is not that big here.
That's true.
And so many people think that's a bad thing. There are perks. The perks being you have so much more freedom with the books that you have. So my publisher was able to tell me, like, you know what, let's experiment. Let's do a little bit of this, let's do a little bit of that. And that is really important for young writers, because you're able to really delve into your own creativity. It helps with your personal growth, your writing growth, and honestly I think it's something everyone should give a try.
Okay, yeah, very very cool. And also historical fiction is very much still alive. I mean, Bridgerton is still, it's not the same thing, but it is based in, it's not the same thing, but I feel like honestly that is doing a lot to kind of revive that era. The interest in people in that era, even though it is wildly inaccurate and things like that,
widely inaccurate.
Yeah. But it's still something that has a lot of people interest. Okay, people are interested in like the dresses and stuff. It's not all
Yeah.
about that as well, but I mean, if you really want to go for the classics, it's always the Austins.
Mhm.
Those are Pride and Prejudice, things
Well,
like that.
the Bridgerton books and stuff. So the book I wrote, The Country Recluse, it's quite similar. So it's that
Okay.
era, it's that period, and I think I wrote it. I can't remember. I think before Bridgerton kind of came out, and then when Bridgerton came out, I'm like, yes, I have something. I have something to ground my work here, and yeah.
But yes, this is one last and final question, Shannel. For anyone interested, where can we find your books?
So it's at the Jamfruit Tree Publications.
Mhm.
They have a little shop there as well, and my first book is at Expographic too.
Oh, okay, very, very cool. But yes, is there anything else you'd like to add before we say our goodbyes?
Just keep writing. It can be tiny little things you scribble on paper. That's how I started. It can be the essays you write in school, whatever it is. I think it's really important. Just do what you love. I mean, that will take you a really long way, no matter what people come and tell you.
That's very, very true. But yes, Shannel, for someone so young, you do have a lot of you seem like you lived a lot of life. You know what I mean? But yes, alright, thank you so much for being on the show. Hope you enjoyed it. And
Yes, I did. It was really fun. I really loved the experience.
Thank you. But yes, until then, once again, Red Chats and Chapters happens every Wednesday as well. If you would like to be featured, you can always get in touch with me through the Red 107.8 page on Instagram or Facebook as well, or you can drop me a text as well. But yes, until then, this is us saying our goodbyes. I will be here, but this is Shannel saying her goodbyes. But yes, thank you so much for being on board,
Thank you
and
for
all
having
the
me.
best. Keep writing, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Good luck.